What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today, yes, we're talking all about Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, I'm giving you my spoiler-free thoughts in today's review, and usually, I know I have a funny intro, but I would ask that if you are the praying type, if you would add one person into your thoughts. It's an older critic in our market, and he is dealing with an emergency situation where, paramedics had to try to get him breathing again, and I'm just praying for him that the Lord would give breath into his lungs. And so without further ado, let's get into my review and all my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. Alrighty, you guys, so this is the 20th Jurassic Park movie at this point. I'm kidding, but there's been a lot of them, and this time, well, they're trying to reboot the franchise by putting Scarlett Johansson in the lead role as Zora, a mercenary for hire who is being, hired by this genetics company to get 3 unique samples to try and elongate life for people around the globe. So with Scarlett Johansson and this rich dude, there's Mahershala Ali, who plays Duncan. We've got a B group, like another gang of actors led by his name is Manuel Rulfo, I believe his name is, but he plays Ruben. And there's like an A plot and a B plot, and they both have 2 different people, but their storylines intertwine on this new island. So the film itself, again, is pretty darn predictable, even though the screenwriter is David Cope, who wrote the screenplay for the very first Jurassic Park movie, and that is one of my favorite movies of all time. But could he bring the same magic here? Now, we're going to get into my positives and my negatives like always, but before we do that, if it is your first time here at the channel, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 30,000 subscribers, and stay tuned because this week, finally, I can reveal to you what I've been working on. And it's still a work in progress, but we're going to do it together. And if you haven't already, liked this video and let me know in the comments below what your favorite Jurassic Park movie is. Mine is still number 1, followed up by number 2. Is that a hot take? I don't know, but let's get into my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth and start with the positives. Now, the movie is directed by Gareth Edwards, who brings a sense of style that we really haven't seen in a little while in the Jurassic Park franchise. Now, that sense of style is felt in the 3rd act, a little bit in the 2nd, but that 1st act, not so much. Now, we will get into that in the negatives, but again, we're in the positives. So I do want to start with Gareth Edwards himself, who directs this film and also directed Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and he directed the Godzilla film with Bryan Cranston. It was a really good Godzilla movie. I don't care what anyone says, but this movie definitely has a sense of style to a degree, right? So I do appreciate that it did feel a little bit different than the previous 2 Jurassic World entries. Now, am I saying those movies are awful? Yes, but that is besides the point. This movie definitely meets the standard of how I sort of felt after Jurassic World, the very first Jurassic World movie. In that film, I thought, okay, there's a little bit of life here, and, at times there were in this movie too, especially during some awesome action set pieces towards the end of the film. Now, in the 2nd and 3rd acts, we finally kind of get going a little bit. Man, it took a little while, but we got there. And it involves a D-Rex and a T-Rex. That's all I'll say. And, it was pretty engaging. And I actually kind of liked how it was shot, because the cinematographer here also did the cinematography for Gladiator and Gladiator 2. So, of course, he knows how to shoot for a big scale film. So I did appreciate, again, that things looked massive and felt massive at times too. That's due in large part to the VFX. They were pretty darn good in this movie. You can tell where the money went, especially with some of the dinosaurs, but man, that D-Rex design looked so dope, you guys, okay? It was terrifying at times, but that adds to the more horrific elements to what the story is, because a group of scientists trying to crossbreed these species, that's never worked out well for anyone. And speaking of the technicalities of the film, I actually liked Alexander Desplat's, his score. Now, that score, he's a good composer anyway, but it's hard to mess up a Jurassic Park score, right? Because you have the classic motif that John Williams developed from the very first Jurassic Park film, but I was looking for something a little new, and at times there was, which was nice. Now, again, it's a pre-established motif. We know what the Jurassic Park score is. I mean, you're probably singing it to yourself or humming it to yourself right now. But the film does a good job at least playing to some different elements, especially at times where it is more of a thriller. So Alexander Desplat's score was pretty decent in this installment. Now, when it comes to the acting in this film, there are some good performances, and then some that are just like, meh. But I will say the standout is Jonathan Bailey as the good doctor in this movie. He does a really good job at conveying this sense of wonder and awe when he sees these dinosaurs. And that's the thing. We, the audience, are probably viewing this new Jurassic World film through his lens. And he's like a good citizen, you know what I mean? So Jonathan Bailey definitely, is no stranger to giving good performances. And I really liked him in this film. I also thought that Mahershala Ali gave a good performance when he was able to act. There were some times where the script, in my opinion, sort of put him in a corner, and I didn't love that, but he was able to break free of some of the more generic tropes for his character. And then you have Scarlett Johansson, who I thought was fine. At times, they gave her some witty lines of dialogue, and she's really good at commanding the screen at times. So Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, they're a very good trio in this movie. We'll speak about the other actors later on in this review. And I also wanted to get to, of course, what we all came to the movie for, which is, will this film revive the franchise? Well, at times I think it does. It inspires, I should say, at times. But this is where I think it's time to get into the negatives, you guys. Because for as much as I enjoyed a couple action set pieces and some performances here and the sense of style at times by director Gareth Edwards, I do feel like the movie is very meh. And I'm not even mixed on the film. I just think it's like, for too long in the first half of this movie, we go through a dry spell where the script is just very surface level, and that was surprising for me because David Cope, again, is a very talented screenwriter, one of my favorites, but he does deliver something of a very predictable and too familiar of a plot for this franchise. And then the dialogue is just so poorly constructed in this movie where at times I thought to myself, am I supposed to be feeling an emotion here? Because they're telling me about something tragic that happened in Zora's life, and they're telling me about a tragic moment that happened to someone's friend, but I'm not feeling that energy. I'm not feeling it. And that's the biggest issue here, is there's a lot of tell, not a lot of show, especially for the very first 45 minutes of this movie. I do think fans that are coming here looking for something that's a little bit more fresh will be disappointed, because I didn't feel that at all in Jurassic World Rebirth. And then there's the issue of some of the performances in this movie. I thought that Rupert Fried, I believe his name is, am I saying that correctly? Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But he plays this villain of sorts, the rich and money-hungry genetics dude. Well, we've seen this character before. I mean, we saw it in the original Jurassic Park, did we not? There's this evil rich dude. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It didn't really work for me too well. He's not a bad actor. It's just the performance just never hit for me. And then you have the cast that sort of joins the film, like some newcomers, people who are, I would say, a part of the B plot. And that group is a little tough to get through some scenes. There's some moments where clearly they want to infuse humor into the movie. And I did not connect with that. I didn't laugh much. I actually didn't laugh at all in this movie. So it's not that the film isn't going to be funny for everybody, but I just didn't find it funny for me. And while I do think Gareth Edwards is a talented director, clearly, I want to say that he's gone 0 for 2 with his last films. I mean, the creator has a good premise and it's promising, but I felt like the movie just, to me, it didn't really go anywhere where it connected with me as a viewer. And that's where I am at with Jurassic World Rebirth, where the movie never really connected with me and I wasn't necessarily having fun. And I think that's the biggest issue, because in a Jurassic Park movie, you want to have fun. Is the movie going to make a ton of money? Absolutely. But did I have fun with it? No, I really didn't. And I think that's where I land with Jurassic World Rebirth, where The film itself is definitely fresher than the last 2 entries, and is the freshest Jurassic World movie since the first Chris Pratt film. But it's so meh and just okay in scenes that I just can't tell you I think this movie's going to revive the franchise, especially if you're coming here for something unique. Now, the D-Rex is unique. Some of the cross species is unique, and I do love a lot of the action sequences in the second half of the film. Well, I should say just a couple I liked. But other than that, the movie itself falls flat for me. And I don't think that this film is inspiring confidence, because there's going to be another Jurassic World movie. There's no way. This movie's going to make money, and they're going to make another one. But this film, to me, proves that the Jurassic Park franchise is running out of gas, or it might have actually already ran out of it, because the story is just uninspiring, dialogue isn't engaging, and while there are some good performances, for the most part, the movie just didn't do what I think it needed to do, at least the bare minimum, which is be a fun summer film. So, Jurassic World Rebirth, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it 2 dino eggs out of 5. I just hope that dinosaurs don't actually hear me say that, because they might get mad at me. So before the D-Rex comes and chases me down the turnpike, if you haven't already, hit the big red button below for more reviews like this, and I need to know in the comments what you think of Jurassic World Rebirth when you see it in theaters this weekend. Huge thank you to Universal Pictures again for giving me the chance to watch this early in Dolby Cinema. And like I mentioned at the top of this review, we're still praying for the movie critic who unfortunately had a medical emergency, so we're just believing that Jesus is going to come through for him. But y'all, there you have it. It's my real review of Jurassic World Rebirth. Just wish it was more positive. I just wish it was a better film. It's all I can ask for, is just a better Jurassic Park movie, but I'm over it, guys. I'm over it. Alrighty, y'all. Well, that's all I got for you. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Oh. Yep, the dino friend out the window. What? No, I rated it 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5.